Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons.
Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's my friend on the other end, Eric Morgret.
Hello, Buddy Kelly.
That's my sister from another mister, Vanessa Williams.
Woot
Yo,
woot.
yo.
Up in the hood.
That
Yo.
makes me Kelly Young. You guys, I had
What an
an
intro.
interesting thing come across my desk the other day.
Uh-huh.
Did you know that they are making a Ferris Bueller's Day Off spinoff
Spin-off?
Wait, what? Who?
called Sam and Victor's Day Off? And it is the adventures of the two valets who take the car while the,
Oh my
the gang
gosh.
is looking at paintings the whole day.
Oh, wow.
Sure, why
We
not?
have reached a place as a people.
So, yes, my initial reaction was, do we need this? And I'm tired of stuff like this and all this. But then,
Okay.
turns out the creative team are the three guys who came up with Cobra Kai.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Damn.
Now you're interested, right?
Oh, hell yes, I
Dang
am.
it. Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to who's behind it and like what they're actually going to do with it. Because any idea can be genius and even great ideas can be crap depending on who's doing it. So sure. All right. I'll watch that.
I'm a little disappointed that they never have done a sequel. You know, like Ferris Bueller
Right.
in his 40s taking off work or something. It seemed like such an easy thing to put together once Broderick reached the right age, but he's probably, well, you know, we're going to work now till we die, so he's got time. He could do it. Ferris in his 50s.
I listen to this podcast. I am not paid for any of this. I listen to this podcast called The Writer's Room, which is a writing podcast. But these guys have a gimmick where they have 60 minutes to come up with a pitch, and then they pitch it to the studio to see if they get it. And they are given studio notes the whole time, so they are told what the genre is going to be, who it's aimed for, and then a couple of things like 10 minutes into while they're brainstorming, they'll get a phone call, and the studio has notes. They want to include Jake Gyllenhaal in this film, you know, and stuff like that. So they have to integrate that into everything. But they came up with a Ferris Bueller sequel that was so cool because we catch up with Ferris Bueller in present day, and he's a wreck because of that. Taking that one day off, he didn't make the grade he needed. On
Oh my God.
or something like that. And Simone, was that his name? Sloan. Sloan was the
girlfriend.
The girlfriend.
Yeah.
They were married. They have a kid. They're divorced now.
Oh, sure.
Cameron is the best off of all of them. He's got a corporation or something.
Sure.
That he owns.
Yeah.
And then through some weird magical device, Ferris has to go back in time. And he has to stop all the stuff that happened and create
weird.
different stuff that happens for
Oh
them
my
that
God.
day so that everything turns out all right. And it was
Wow.
so good at the end when they were pitching it that it brought a tear to my eye.
Aw,
I was like,
that's
I
incredible.
want to see this movie.
It's kind of like that whole, Bill and Ted sort of scenario where you can keep going if you have neat kind of things you can do to add to the story rather than detract from it or steal from it or, repeat it.
Yeah, I'd say that Bill and Ted was a bad example of that, but
Well, I was trying to think of anything at all recent
Cobra
or
Kai
notable.
would have
There you go.
been,
You know
tied
what?
everything right together.
Guys, I'm dehydrated. I'm doing my best.
Real quick, Eric, you sent
Yeah.
me something earlier, or you sent both of us something, that said that Regal Cinemas
Oh, yeah.
was filing for bankruptcy.
That's
Does this
right.
mean
Looking at
the
it.
end of Regal Cinemas?
No, it looks like it's chapter 11, I believe, which is, you shut down your payments and stuff so you can reorganize everything and get your money in rows and get your shit together. So I would expect if they do that, there will be some closing of theaters because that's just, you got to figure out how you're cutting your expenses. But I haven't seen any real detailed stuff yet. I didn't realize they were British based.
Oh.
So I don't know how
Oh,
different
Cineworld.
laws.
Regal.
Yeah.
Regal,
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
There's nothing in America that's Regal.
There
Well,
was
come
a
on.
crown,
We play
right?
the World Series in the U.S., so, the ego of the U.S. saying we're the Regal world is plausible to me.
I think this all comes down to the fact that they still haven't figured out seat numbers. And that is why I won't go.
Yeah,
Because I'm
true.
like, I can't book a seat. So I haven't been to a Regal since opening for that reason.
Yeah, that's true. Same here.
It's so simple, guys. You can literally tape a number to the seat. And it's so simple. It takes 2 seconds. Do it.
69.
It's a whole row of just
Oh
69. Damn it, Kelly.
I saw a movie. I saw a movie that Vanessa talked about. I
Oh.
saw Elvis.
Me too.
Oh, goodness
Okay.
gracious, guys. I am dying to know what you thought.
So I was surprised. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Although a tremendous amount of it is bullshit.
Okay.
I was curious about that because I know you know Elvis far more better than I do.
I've read all the biographies and all that stuff, and even one of Colonel Tom. So his weird accent threw me off because
Sure.
in interviews he's never had that. But I think they were going for the fact that I guess he was probably from the Netherlands, and Tom Hanks decided to just make a creative choice there. He really played him as just absolutely evil, which, I think that he was a pretty bad dude.
Yeah, he might have hit a point like that at the end, sort of, with some of the stuff, but I don't think he spent his entire career being.
He was certainly
dropped
very
dead
manipulative,
heels.
and he knew what he had in
Yeah.
Elvis.
Yeah.
I thought that kid was great.
Yeah.
The kid who
He's
played
so
Elvis, I thought,
good.
was really good. He didn't look a thing like him, but somehow
Right.
he
just-
made it work.
It somehow hit that like spiritual vibe. It
Yeah.
was incredible.
And then the one thing that kind of bummed me out was the '68 comeback special, because they really dramatized that event, but the real story is way more interesting. And I was
Oh,
like,
really?
why would you do this stuff? Because there was all sorts of stuff going on in the background of that show, and they really only played with the idea that that Colonel Tom didn't know that they weren't doing Christmas music
Yeah.
and all that stuff, and he knew well before they had done If I Can Dream that that's what it was going to be.
Sure.
So that kind of stuff is kind of like, oh, I think the original story is more interesting. But I will say this, I like these musical biopics.
Yeah.
I really love the Bobby Darin one. I did not love the Queen one,
Right.
which is just one of my very favorite bands. And I think maybe because this one was so fantastical
Sure.
Yeah.
that I was like, I'm totally okay with what they're doing with this because it's almost like a dream. Putting
Yeah.
it through his eyes, through Colonel Tom's eyes instead, really helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely, I mean, you get the sense while watching it, not only because there's strange, fantastical, exciting, colorful things happening at all times, that it is a showcase for you and it isn't just a direct bio. Like there's a lot of stuff that you're like, they're clearly taking liberties all over the place. But because of the style of the presentation, it worked pretty well for me too, other than just being so depressing.
That was the one thing that I was bummed about. Elvis, if you watch any of the documentaries with him, he had a great sense of humor, and he was laughing and joking all the time, and he was pretty filthy with his jokes, especially if he didn't know the camera was on him. And I wish that they had kind of showed that he had a good time being the king.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I mean, which I think made it easier to watch was that it's Baz Luhrmann movie,
Yeah.
and he's such a good filmmaker.
I knew we would bump heads on this. I fucking hate every Baz Luhrmann film. I think this is by far his best because it actually has some soul in it. But I fucking hate Moulin Rouge.
No.
I guess I kind of liked Romeo and Juliet. I thought
I
that
like
was
Strictly
cool.
Ballroom too. I think Strictly
I
Ballroom.
don't think
Strictly
I got
Ballroom's
into that
good.
one, but
That's probably his most straightforward film.
I think that he's got tremendous style and zero soul. So I was just afraid that I would get to this and go, how can you have no soul in a film about Elvis? But I thought there was a ton of soul in this.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you found something enjoyable in it.
I did.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was the usual thing. Like you turn on a modern movie, it's like, Jesus Christ, this is 2 hours and 50 minutes long. But then there's all the music. So
I'll also say it sped by.
yeah,
It does.
Yeah, it didn't
It's
get boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not feel, now that you said that aloud, I did not realize it was 2 hours and 50 minutes at all.
Something like that. Yeah, it's real close to that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I got the opportunity to check out Bullet Train this week.
Okay.
Do tell.
Wow. Okay. It's really fun. It's a really fun film, but I wouldn't say it's a good film, but it's a fun film. Like, I don't know, it was enjoyable enough. It kind of came and went. It's just very popcorny and light in a rip-off Guy Ritchie sort of way, but with a little bit more humor. I don't know. I had a good time with it. I really, I don't know. Yeah. Very non-committal.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Rousing.
Really. I mean, I'm not sure what to do with the Guy Ritchie references. I mean, it's really violent. There's tons of swearing.
Well, I mean, it's a bunch of assassins on a train basically coming after each other. And the two main assassins that you're following, aside from Brad Pitt, have a very Guy Ritchie-like lock, stock, two smoking barrels vibe about them. There's just the way they talk, the way that they're like, they describe themselves and the situation around them. All of that sort of dialogue and action feels like a Guy Ritchie movie. And so because they're so large in the film, the rest of it sort of falls in line around them. But it is interesting because there's multiple plot lines happening at the same time. And what you start with is this very serious, sad man trying to do the best thing for his son with Asian, I think Japanese gangsters, Yakuza having a very large influence. And then we switch to like almost slapstick style, over the top assassin comedy. But I think it still works because it's so fast and furious and you're just jumping into different people's heads.
I see what you did there.
I didn't on purpose.
Did you ever get the feeling that Brad Pitt couldn't recognize the face of anyone he was working with?
Good question. I mean, he basically plays like a ditz, so his character isn't exactly a strong character. So all he has to do is, you guys remember Cutting Class?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, yeah,
Imagine that guy has to go and get a briefcase, okay? And you're there. So
okay. So he doesn't look like Christopher Lambert in most of his movies. That's actually a pretty good, creepy 2022 movie on Shudder called Moloch.
Oh, okay.
Moloch.
Okay.
I've seen this come up.
Yeah, it's a Dutch film. Another one recently. But it's the kind of story of a lady that's being haunted by her past and some strange shit going on in a bog, and it's sort of a murder mystery. Well, not murder, but a mystery of what is going on. And it's pretty good. It's well worth checking out with some nice creepy shit and some definite weird revelations.
I saw the preview and I was like, I can't. Is this A24 or was there a payoff?
No, it's definitely finishes.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer, so I don't know what that's like. I just put it on and said, let's go for it.
It just looked very moody and deliberately paced.
It is. It's not quite as deliberately paced as you might expect, but yeah, I could see where that does come across at times. But it's pretty good.
Cool. Well, the other thing I watched was, and I imagine you guys have watched, She-Hulk, first episode.
Yes, I have.
Indeed.
Thoughts?
It's just every single Marvel TV series, the first episode, I'm like, we'll see where this is going. I didn't dislike it. I liked it just fine, but I'm not like, my socks are still on my feet, as you would say, Kelly.
Yeah, sure.
I enjoyed it, partially because I just read the She-Hulk Attorney at Law comics.
Okay.
The first collection is fairly straightforward and kind of similar to what they're doing. The second collection, it gets really weird. I mean, she becomes like an intergalactic judge. And all it gets very strange. But the first 6 issues or so are pretty straightforward. And it's also lighthearted, like this is, and fun and goofy. So it hit right where I thought it was going to hit. So I'm like, oh, this looks like they're going with that one comic series.
Wow. I hated it.
Surprise,
sure.
surprise. You need to stop watching Marvel and Star Wars shows. You just don't like them.
I think that I'm right there with you. I was like, Jesus. But also, it was really dumb.
Yeah. So?
I when she cuts her arm and his blood gets into her blood, I was like, no, this is not how she becomes She-Hulk, is it? And then it was, and I was like, this is too stupid for me to continue on with. And I understand that the original She-Hulk was also a blood transfusion type situation.
Yeah.
But the whole point of it was just so dumb. And then when she's in court and whoever the villain was
Yeah, I don't
breaks
know who
in,
that is.
that was the stupidest looking villain and the stupidest looking fight. And that made me angry. I thought that she was really good. You know, she wasn't given anything really good to do. I don't know. The whole thing just infuriated me.
Wow.
You must come with the weirdest expectations for Marvel shows, because they're all gone for me. I expect nothing when I start watching these movies. Like, let's see where this is going to go, because they've been so different and so inconsistent that I'm like, and I know very little about She-Hulk. I think as far as She-Hulk only comics, like not when she was Avengers or anything like that, that one that I just talked about is the only one I've read.
Yeah.
And kind of followed what the tone of that comic is.
Well, listen, I loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I loved Loki. I even fucking loved I Am Groot.
Oh, I have not seen I Am Groot.
This, I don't know. This feels like Moon Knight times 3.
Oh dear. I mean, like it seemed very light and silly and lighthearted, and I didn't super vibe with it, but it's a comedy. So, I mean, come on. Yeah. I know that I'm in the wrong on this.
You're never going to like it. Probably,
yeah. I mean, I'll watch it and maybe
stuff.
Exactly. The story might eventually be interesting to me, but
I laughed once at the very end post-credit scene, which actually I was like, and that was it.
Sure.
Then I put a foot through my television and I was like, fuck you, Marvel.
Good Lord. Speaking of things that did not sit well, I also went and saw Beast.
Wait a second. You are not going to say anything negative about the
Idris Elba,
the most beautiful black man on this planet.
Oh, no. Every moment with Idris is a joy, and every moment with that lion is a joy, and every other moment is god awful.
I only saw the trailer for this weekend. I didn't realize it was out already. The lion looked pretty bad.
The lion, he's got a kind of interest. I mean, they don't spend a lot of time you don't see it super clearly. So a lot of times it has this sort of weird skull look to it. Like, it reminds me a lot of Scar from Lion King. It just has a very weird, it doesn't matter. It's a big, angry animal. And, he does punch it. So that's cool.
Oh, my.
So that's
who does the voice of the
lion? The lion? Is there a lion? No. Some lion in a zoo somewhere?
My knowledge of this movie consists only of pictures of him with Beast on it. Didn't even have a lion in the photo I saw, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
It is,
and I'm fine with that. It sounds like.
Yeah, no. The problem is the story basically is bad. So there's that. No, it's like a guy and his 2 daughters return to his deceased wife's homeland, and he wants to reconnect his kids to the place she lived and her family and their roots. And while they're there, a lion and they gotta escape it and fend off and blah, blah. But the kids are so irritating. It's like every time it's like, oh, there's a lion that's trying to murder everybody and it's outside on the left side of the car. How about at every opportunity you get out of the car and stand nearby and make loud sounds for literally no reason, or yell at your dad like on the walkie-talkie when he's trying to hide and like give away his location. Like it's constant irritating children. Nonstop, stupid dialogue, just stupid everything. This is pointless film other than watching Idris Elba and a lion. That part, totally in.
Always works.
I hope he got a massive payday. I just want him to keep working until I die.
Me too.
There you go.
Absolutely, 100%. If they had written that entire thing, you know what? Keep it the same length, keep the same story, just take out the kids, just erase them with, After Effects. I bet that film would be amazing.
Just go watch Roar if you want to watch a movie with lions.
My God, do not watch Roar. That is the most
by
stressful.
all means, watch Roar.
That is the most stressful movie I've ever seen. And
yes, it is.
That was in my head while watching this. I was like, this is not a lion movie. That is a lion movie.
All right. Well, the other one I've got is also Shudder.
Yeah.
What Josiah Saw.
Oh, okay.
Tell me about this.
One. It's Robert Patrick's one of the main stars, plus a bunch of fairly damn good performers. Dark, disturbing kind of family drama with some really horrible shit that happens inside the family. It's not a pleasant watch. You go with the A24. This is much closer to kind of an A24, although it has a hell of an ending. It does have an ending.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the rest of it is just like, Jesus, man, these are a bunch of shitty people. And it kind of starts off weird in that, I don't remember how far in the movie I was, but I was like maybe 30, 40 minutes in going, are these storylines going to connect somehow? And then they all do just fine. But it felt like, here's a vignette about this person, here's a bit about this person. And I didn't see connections until that brings them all together. And oh, okay, well, obviously they're definitely connected. But it's well done. It's well shot. It's really well acted. There's a scene or two that I'm just like, fuck.
Nice. You went on a Shudder kick.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, I feel like I've neglected my Shudder subscription for too long, and you're really inspiring me to dip back in.
There's some good shit on Shudder right now. Quite a bit.
For sure. Hey, guys, why don't we take a break, and then when we come back, we're talking video game movies. Am I right this time?
Yes, yes.
Only from Atari. Made especially for systems from Atari. The video game that lets you help E.T. get home. Just in time for Christmas. Happy holidays from Atari.
We have returned. Vanessa, this was your subgenre pick.
Yeah, absolutely. So I went with video game films, and I'm really excited to kind of hear which ones you guys chose, because there are some great movies out there, and there are some truly, truly terrible options.
Please tell me that you picked this subgenre and then ended up with a really bad film.
Define bad. So I actually went with it's interesting because I've played a lot of video games, I guess, at least ones that have been adapted into films. And so this was one of those ones. So the whole time I was watching the movie, I was definitely looking out for, okay, where were they actually caring about the game and where were they not? And I went with the 2002 film Resident Evil.
Deep underground, in a top-secret research lab, security has been breached. A deadly virus capable of contaminating the entire world has been released.
Oh my God.
We have to get out of this building.
What was that? It's the brakes! It's okay, we're here to help.
Now, an elite team has been sent in to stop it.
5 hours ago, Red Queen went homicidal.
Who's the Red Queen?
State-of-the-art artificial intelligence.
The corporation's keeping a few secrets down here.
But they have only 3 hours left before it begins infecting and mutating the whole human race.
Everyone stay calm.
You have to get out.
Don't listen to anything she says. She's a holographic representation of the Red Queen.
She may be our only way out of here.
How is she still standing?
She isn't standing now.
No one is immune. Resident Evil.
You're all going to die down here.
Oh my.
So this one, critics do not like it. It had a 35% Rotten Tomato score from critics and a 67% from audience, which is pretty diverging views. Overall, 2002, where it feels like it still has that late 90s, early 2000s gleam to it, very stylistic. I can see why some people are going to think it's total trash and some people are like, fuck yeah, I'm along for the ride. So, the budget on this guy was $33 million and it brought in $103 million.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it did just fine. It was written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Now, we've talked about him a few times before, but this guy, he's written 16 films and directed 19, and he has a very interesting career of going from interesting picks like Mortal Kombat, then Event Horizon, Soldier, and then Resident Evil and Resident Evil and Resident Evil, Alien vs. Predator, Death Race, Pompeii, Monster Hunter, and most recently the Mimic TV series. So he kind of had a career that was looking interesting, and then he was like, "But what if my wife's in literally every single thing I do?"
Oh,
and
the Rob Zombie effect.
It sure is. Only maybe with more talent.
Way more talent.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah. So it is starring, surprise, surprise, Mila Jovovich. This is where I believe they met. She has 60 film credits, including Resident Evil and Resident Evil. And, she plays Alice throughout all of the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil films. She also was in Dazed and Confused, Fifth Element. You would know her as Lilo. She was in The Messenger as Joan of Arc. She played a role in Zoolander, Ultraviolet, 2019's Hellboy, which I have not seen and did not realize she was in. And she was in Monster Hunter, of course. And she's actually pretty great in that. Also starring Michelle Rodriguez, who's been in 54 things, most of which I hate. I do not like Michelle Rodriguez.
Fair.
Right there with you.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
At least 1%. I know there are like a zillion people listening to this being like, I fucking love Michelle Rodriguez. She's so great.
She doesn't score high on the strange eonzometers.
No, apparently
0%.
0%. Pure rotten tomato over here. No, I just cannot stand her, and I never have been able to. But you guys would know her as Letty from the Fast and Furious franchise. She was in 26 episodes of Lost, all of which I was like, could you please get arrested in Hawaii and get kicked off the show? Thank you. Because that was a good day. She's also in Girl Fight, Blue Crush, SWAT, Battle LA, Widows, and she will be in the upcoming D&D Honor Among Thieves movie. So that'll be interesting to see her in that. Hopefully not for very long. And Eric, she's not bad. I do need to clarify. She's not bad. There's just something about her that irritates the crap out of me.
She has one character, and if you like it, you're going to like probably everything she does.
Yes.
Apparently the three of us do not like that character
Correct.
much.
That character is not my cup of tea.
It's the character that looks up from under her brow.
Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen that look upon her face with the furrowed forehead and the hair falling upon her cheeks just too many times. She's just not intimidating to me, and she does irritate me because as far as her characters, because they always make stupid decisions. Also in this movie, Eric Mobius, who's been in 70 Things. I was watching this whole film going, I know you. I know you from something. And it is not the TV movie series Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, of which he's been in like 100 of. And it is not Welcome to Christmas, another TV movie he's been in. And it's even not The L Word, which I did watch, but he was in 16 episodes of that. But it was Ugly Betty, where he is 85 episodes of that as the boss. And I was like, that's who you are. That is it. Okay, now I am sated. The story is...
Wait a second, question.
Yeah.
Is this a first time viewing for you?
I watched it once in, the year I graduated high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did see it, but I was hanging out at like my friend Nick and Josh's house, and I was on a beanbag chair, and I think they were explaining to me what the game was while the movie was going, and there was very little like comprehension of from my end. So it felt like a first time screening, to be honest. The plot. So in an underground lab, there is a huge testing center where there are just all kinds of people working away, lots of bad things going on. There's a huge amount of text starting this movie off, explaining all kinds of things. And in case you don't want to read it, there is a voiceover telling you what is happening. Now, the Umbrella Corporation has created this underground lab called the Hive. It's maintained by an AI called the Red Queen. And when we see somebody grabs a test tube and shatters it on purpose, the Red Queen shuts everything down, locks everybody in, and kills them all in fun and exciting ways. So basically, this AI is smart, and I think all of us are a little bit film educated. So as soon as this all happens, it's like, oh, there must be something that isn't supposed to perhaps get out. And so that's why everyone has now been murdered. But the film doesn't know that we know that. So there's a lot of explaining through this whole thing. But the deaths are pretty fun. You get to see some lab people inside of a room where the fire sprinklers go off and the room starts to fill with water, and it's like, it's just not going to stop. They are just going to drown slowly in the sprinkler water. There's an elevator murder where some people are trying to squeeze their way out, and of course the elevator that's being run by the AI is going up and decapitates somebody and then goes down and smashes everybody. It's, a good fun death sequence. Then we cut to a woman a beautiful, naked woman waking up from being unconscious in a shower. She does not know where she is. She does not know who she is. She does not know what she's doing there. She starts to wander around and finds very quickly a red dress that's been laid out for her. I do not know why. The film does not tell us why. It's just there. She will put it on and look great and fight in it through the whole film, and that's awesome. No reason for it. Anyway, there's also a note for her saying something about this is today all your dreams come true. And she starts to write underneath it, trying to figure out if it's her own handwriting, and it is not. She starts to wander around this giant mansion, and it's just clearly very abandoned. A lot of nice little jump scares from, bats and birds and wind and leaves. So that's exciting. And then she runs across a man who sort of jumps out of nowhere and claims that he is a undercover cop named Matt. And right as soon as Matt comes into the scene, a group of special op commandos also break into this mansion. They throw cuffs on Matt because they're not sure who he is. And he's like, "It's my first day." And they're like, "We'll find out later, buddy." And we will. Without explaining to her who she is, they do indicate that they know her, and she's some kind of security personnel, and they just start ushering them both deep into the mansion to a train station. Now, the mansion is located on top of an underground train, and the underground train takes you to the hive. So it's sort of like an extra way of getting into the space. This group of commandos are going to go into the hive and try to shut down the AI and turn off the Red Queen, because they believe that she's gone crazy and haywire, and she definitely didn't do what she did for a reason. So they need to go in and turn her off and recover Umbrella Corp's equipment. So they get to the train, and they discover on the train a man who's also unconscious. And he's wearing a wedding ring, and it seems to match our heroine's wedding ring. And she has flashes of memories of having sex with him and maybe being married, but we're not sure beyond that. So throughout the film, we get these little pieces of info, maybe giving us more info about her. But of course, you can't trust those memories, because sometimes it might start to tell you something that isn't the whole picture. So they go into the lab area, discover, of course, a lot of dead bodies, a lot of strange enclosed areas where probably experimentations were happening that maybe should not have been happening. And of course, the Red Queen immediately is like, "Hey, yo, gonna murder y'all. Thanks for showing up. Gonna lock in here and do some fun lasers. Now you did." I don't know if any of you guys, I assume, have both seen this film.
Yes.
I don't think I have, actually.
Oh, okay. There is a well-known scene with lasers where we get to see a man get cubified, and it's one of those early examples.
Kind of like Cube.
Yes. I think after Cube, but still, yes, very in the same vein. So they have a lot of fun with that. And of course, they do manage to turn off the Red Queen, but she warns them, "Hey, you're all going to die. You're going to turn me off." And it sounds like a threat. Y'all going to die, but it's really not a threat. It is actually the truth, because once they turn her off, all of the doors unlock. And of course, the toxin that was released happens to be an experimental sort of drug thing that reanimates the dead. It's meant to do good things for the world and be used as a pharmaceutical thing, but it kind of mutated, and that's what it now does. So the rest of the film becomes a sort of group of military people and one mystery guy, well, two mystery guys and a mystery woman against a bunch of zombies and mutants. I think it's a little bit disappointing at that point, because it does really become like zombies, not Resident Evil zombies. So if you play the game, you can get like bitten and punched and scratched, and you just like jam yourself with a healing thing. And they do kill you relatively quickly. You can't let it happen too many times, but it isn't game over the minute you get like a little dent in you. And in this, it's very much like, even if you get sneezed on, you're infected and it's all over. However, the rest of the film is pretty fun in that we get to see Alice start to remember who she is, why she's there, and start to kick a lot of ass. Mostly, we get another shot where a lot of people might remember some zombie dogs running after her, and she does a big air spin kick right in their head. So that's fun. There are some fun scenes in this movie. I think that watching everyone get murdered at the beginning is pretty awesome. There's just a lot of high tense jump scares. There's a lot of energy and momentum. It moves really quickly. It's pretty insane. It is the most 2002 movie you can fucking imagine. Music by Slipknot, among others, which I'll get to in trivia. It's just constantly going. And Mila Jovovich is incredible to watch. She is so gorgeous. And she, near the end of the movie, does end up with a partially shaved head. And man, she rocked that shit before it was cool. So, hot damn. However, they do have to spend a lot of the movie explaining what's happening and what's going on and why. I think if you've played the games, you'll get a lot more out of it, even though I don't think they are trying very much to use the game lore. It's just there. So if you don't know, okay, there's a mansion and there's zombie dogs and there's like different, the Umbrella Corp. And if you don't know all these really basic things, this movie's gonna be really like, wait, what the fuck is happening right now? And like, why? And like, okay, somebody's just talking. Someone is always talking. Every time there's a new character, they spend the first 3 minutes just talking at you about like who they are and what's going on now in this room and like what piece of info they have about what's going on. There's also a fun casting of an off-brand David Boreanaz. I guess they were trying to get David Boreanaz at one point, and I was like, man, this actor looks like a real wannabe David Boreanaz, like military bro. And apparently that's for a reason, because David Boreanaz said no. So yeah, it's just very stylish. It almost feels like Run Lola Run if it was not indie and was it is technically German, and just carried down like selling out road rather than like cool independent style road. Not that it's 100% bad. It really isn't 100% bad at all. It's fun enough to watch. Yeah. So a little bit of trivia about the movie. So it was actually shot in Berlin, most of it. It was put out by a German production company called Constantine Films. Another writer, there's a lot of writers who were originally meant to write Resident Evil into a film. So initially, Alan B. McElroy was hired to write the script, along with the script for Doom. But due to conflicts over development issues, the Doom script was scrapped and redone. And I read through his synopsis version of the script, and it sounded pretty interesting. And at the same time, also, we had George A. Romero was asked to participate in this. He wrote a script which was leaked after his death. He had directed a TV commercial for the Resident Evil 2 game, and it was impressive enough that Sony asked him to write and direct Resident Evil. He had his secretary play through the game and record it so he could see what it was about. He then used the characters from the game as well as the best quote-unquote ending the game had out of the possible outcomes, and he wrote about 5 or 6 drafts. But they all ended up being rejected. The head of the production, Robert Kolzer, said he felt like the script was good, but it would have been an NC-17 film if approved. So did not go through. The other guy, McElroy's, was also rejected because his script was based off of the game, and by the time the film came out, the second game was already out, so they felt like it was already dated. And when Paul W.S. Anderson had just done the Mortal Kombat film, which became a commercial success, and in fact it was the first commercially successful video game screen adaptation, he was approached because they thought maybe he could do something with this. He wrote a script titled Undead, which was basically a ripoff because he wasn't sure he was going to get the green light. And when he did get the green light, he went ahead and, scratched out the name and put it down as Resident Evil instead. And then in late 2000, it was announced that he would be directing. He also announced that he would not include any tie-ins with the video game series as the movie tie-ins were too common, and he thought Resident Evil deserved a good celluloid representation. I think that's bullshit because, like I said, there's a lot. feeling of the game within it, whether or not it even feels like there are some of the same characters just like renamed throughout this. So I don't know. At one point, like one of the characters gets scratched on the shoulder and I was like, oh, is his like arm going to become an eyeball at some point? Because that feels like the natural progression. But yeah, anyway, it does end on a cliffhanger, which of course is why we have, I don't know, 3 or 4 more of them from the same team.
At least.
Exactly. At least, not including the ones that have recently come to surface. The studio, Sony Pictures, had hoped at one point to make the film PG-13, so it was more marketable to younger video game fans, but Paul W.S. Anderson insisted that it be true to the game and the film must be rated R. I don't disagree. Michelle Rodriguez had informed her agent that if anyone ever wrote a script about Resident Evil, she would like to be a part of it, and her agent duly put her in contact with Paul Anderson when his screenplay was bought. Mila Jovovich said the real reason she did this movie was because her brother Marco was a huge fan of the video game series.
Has nothing to do with the fact that my husband is directing it.
I don't think they were married until
okay.
I think this is where they met.
Okay.
Yeah. This started it all.
Right. It was love that would last a lunchtime.
Indeed. The main actors were told to prepare for the film by getting copies of the game and playing them through. Some of them didn't know if they could complete them in time, so they got video recording copies of people beating the games, watching it, and thus we had the birth of the internet. I'm like, wow, that's so common now. And I bet at the time that felt really weird. One of the most popular scenes of the film, where Alice runs up a wall, flings around, and kicks the zombie dog in the head, took 3 months of training for her to get it right. The makeup department and crew had a hard time dealing with the zombie dogs, who kept licking the zombie makeup, blood, and meat off of themselves.
Sure.
I'm sure it was delicious. The presidents of Capcom Japan and America have cameos as zombies in the movie. The film's score and soundtrack were, of course, composed by Marco Beltrami and Marilyn Manson. During mid-2001, Manson described the score and soundtrack as being more electronic than his other previous work. I would agree. It feels very much like I'm in a techno club and probably took some very bad drugs, which is good, I guess. Maybe? I don't know. Despite coming out second behind Ice Age in the opening weekend, it still did very well financially. Its successful opening weekend sparked a frenzy among U.S. studios eager to capitalize on the interest in video games. So titles like Doom, Silent Hill, and Max Payne were all snapped up.
Did you like this?
Yeah, it was fun. It's not like good. I mean, sure. It's fun. It's fun and it's enjoyable. And I think, I mean, there were definitely issues. Like there was one point where I think they chopped something out because it went from a scene where 2 characters are talking about some very plot heavy stuff to them not being in that room, fighting off a zombie, trying to escape to another room, and there being a different character that the camera is focused on that for no reason. So I was like, I'm pretty sure some weird shit was happening that got like cut out. So that there was a lot of plot, just like nonsense going on. But overall, I thought it was pretty fun. It was a fun, dumb film.
That kind of describes a lot of his films. I mean, he's a Event Horizon to the side of that. Mm-hmm. A lot of his films are just kind of dumb fun.
100%. Like I watched Monster Hunter in theaters. I cannot tell you what it's about now. I've completely forgotten, but I remember it being fun.
I really liked his Death Race. I thought that was a pretty cool movie. I have watched this movie maybe 6 times.
Oh my God.
I think each time I keep thinking I'm going to like it. And every time I'm like, oh, dang it. Why do I keep thinking I'm going to like this movie?
Right. There's like a couple of pleasant surprises.
There are some really cool scenes in it, and Mila is gorgeous.
I
think this is the first time I ever saw her, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. She is incredible to look at, and I'm glad. I was really worried that she hadn't done much outside of movies with her husband, because he hasn't done much outside of movies with her. But she's had a great career.
Yeah, she's done a lot.
She's done a lot of shit. So I was like, yeah, you go, Mila. You don't wait around for nobody. You wear red dresses and kick people in the face. Good job.
Nice. Now, have you seen all the sequels?
I have not, but I've been told I must. So they are in a box set
I'm
waiting
not sure
for
that's
me.
True.
You have a box set of these?
I'm not saying I have a box set. Somebody in my household has a
okay.
box set that I'm going to be forced
One
to
of
watch.
your cats, right?
Yes. Ridley is very into it. He's insistent.
Watch this where she kicks the dog in the face again.
So good.
Okay, well, I decided to take advantage of this subgenre and see a film I have heard many things about, but I had never seen for myself. And it is called Super Mario Bros.
Where are we? I got a feeling we're not in Brooklyn no more.
They're brothers. They're plumbers.
Hold on. Mario! Luigi!
They're on the trail of a kidnapped princess and a mystical meteorite.
It's incredible!
That gives anyone who possesses it the power to rule the universe.
Get me the rock! Come and get it, lizard breath!
Now, they must rescue the princess.
Alien species escaping.
And make it safely back.
Later, alligator.
To our world.
Are you alright?
Before time runs out.
Shoot him! You're a bad plumber! Look out, Mario! Get him! Yes! No, stop! Gotcha! No, not again!
Super Mario Brothers. This ain't no game.
Ding, 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 ding. It is from 1993. Budget of right around $48 million. Box office of $38 million. And that's worldwide.
Beautiful.
Rotten Tomatoes critic, they have it at 28%, but the audience disagrees and has it at 29%.
Oh, all right. Big change.
Damn.
It is directed by Annabelle Jankel and Rocky Morton, who were a husband and wife directing team. They directed the Max Headroom series. They directed the film DOA with Dennis Quaid. And they split up in 2005 and haven't really done anything of note since then.
Wow. That kind of explains a bit. Max Headroom.
Yeah. Written by Parker Bennett and Terry Runt, who wrote the film Mystery Date. But it was also then written by Ed Solomon, who's a pretty well-respected writer. Besides all three Bill and Ted movies, he wrote Men in Black, Now You See Me, and Now You See Me Too. And can we just all acknowledge that we live in a world where the sequel to Now You See Me is not called Now You Don't?
No,
It's so dumb. What a missed opportunity. It endlessly pisses me off.
Now You See Me Too.
Why?
That's not a thing.
It's so stupid. Oh.
All right, this movie stars Bob Hoskins, who has 121 credits, including Brazil, Mermaids, Beyond the Sea, and, of course, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It also stars John Leguizamo, who has 161 credits, including Carlito's Way, To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, Spawn, and he was just in John Wick 3. I have kind of the same feeling for John Leguizamo as I do Michelle Rodriguez for some reason.
I do too.
I really want to like him because I've seen like his stand-up comedy, and I'm like, oh, you're a funny guy.
Yeah.
But I hate every single character he plays on screen.
Can't recall enough to know that, but I know I have continually gone, you should be better than this for some reason.
It also stars National Treasure Dennis Hopper. 208 credits, including Easy Rider, River's Edge, Blue Velvet, Hoosiers, True Romance, Space Truckers. Interestingly, he played Frank Sinatra in the movie All the Way, which did not require him to sing any songs. So,
of course.
Okay. Anyone seen this?
I
yes,
think
I think
so.
Same answer.
Vaguely. I've seen parts of it for sure.
This movie was a head scratcher.
I'm curious where you go with that.
It opens with an animated segment showing the dinosaurs getting wiped out 65 million years ago by an asteroid that splits the world into 2 dimensions.
Okay.
Now, off the bat, I'm like, Okay. So the survivors of that second world, they are dinosaurs that evolve into humans. Okay? So are you with me so far?
Yeah.
Let's talk about how stupid that idea is right off the bat. That reptiles would then evolve into mammals.
It's impressive.
I'm more immediately curious as to why this plot they definitely did not play the game.
Well, also, a parallel dimension suggests a parallel universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is just a parallel Earth that kind of sits like in a pocket that just has Earth in it, I guess. And actually, all we ever see is Dino Hatton.
Dino Hat. Oh, I get it. All right. I'm with you.
Not Manhattan. That would be ridiculous.
No,
It's
Dino Hatton. Wow, that is some great writing.
Okay. So then we jump to 1973, where a huge egg and a little stone are left on a church doorstep. The nuns bring the egg in. It's in like a little cradle, or not a cradle, but a basket, like you would put a baby into. And it hatches into a baby girl.
What? See, in my head, all I'm seeing is the characters from Dinosaur, the Disney TV show.
Same. Oh, no.
Picking up an egg and bringing it into their church.
I'm thinking of like Dinosaurs, the
weird
sitcom.
Muppet things.
Nothing like that.
That's what I meant.
We're in
not the mama.
We're in
Not the
Manhattan in 73.
Oh, gotcha. Not Dino Hatton. Right. All right, I'm with you.
So 20 years later, we meet Mario and Luigi, but because they're the Mario Bros, it's Mario and Luigi Mario. Now, I did a little research on this, and Mario is possible as a surname, but not very likely. So,
so many leaps that are being taken.
Hey, nice reference to the game there.
Okay, they are plumber brothers who get mixed up in this scheme because Luigi falls for this girl he's just met, Daisy. Who turns out to be the grown-up version of the baby who hatched earlier.
Of course.
She is wearing the stone that was left with her egg on a little pendant around her neck now. Mm-hmm. And then we also find out through newspaper headlines on the stands and shit like that there has been a rash of kidnappings of young women. So anyway, Luigi asks Daisy out on a date, and they double date with Mario and his girlfriend. And at the end of the date, Daisy gets kidnapped. Mm-hmm. And although Mario and Luigi fixed the broken pipes that contributed to the whole kidnapping scheme, she's taken through a dimensional portal, and they must act fast if they're going to follow her, which they do, right into Dino Hatton. So they end up on this alternate Earth in this bustling city, and from here on out, it becomes a pretty silly fish out of water story as the brothers try to track down Daisy. So this planet is ruled by King Koopa, who has this plan to use Daisy's stone to merge both worlds and rule over them. And there is zero reason given for wanting to do this. It's just that he knows there's another world, and I must rule it.
Well, that I'm less concerned about. There are so many questions ahead of that. So her stone can merge these worlds?
Yes, because her stone was from the impact of the asteroid that did this whole thing.
Cool.
So shouldn't there be like millions of those stones?
Also, where is Princess Peach? Might one ask.
Oh, wait a second. Was there a Princess Peach?
Yeah.
Peach is the princess in the game. Daisy does exist eventually.
Oh.
Much later on.
Okay. All right. So, along this journey through Dino Hatton, Mario and Luigi will be aided and hunted by various friends and enemies, including Yoshi, which is kind of a cute baby T-Rex.
Sure.
Yes.
And they will have to discover that they have to trust the fungus which allows them to make great leaps and shit like that.
Holy shit.
There's also this devolving ray beam that can turn people into dinosaurs or half dinosaurs or whatever, depending on how much time they've been exposed. So they've got this de-evolution ray that Dennis Hopper will throw people into, and it turns them into like larger versions of themselves with tiny little dinosaur heads, and they are the Goombas.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I
Got
remember
it.
those from the trailer, at least.
Right. So they're running through the town. They're doing all of this really stupid stuff. I feel horrible for Bob Hoskins through this entire movie. One of our finest actors. I did love reading in the trivia that he and Leguizamo immediately knew they were making the worst movie ever, so they just decided to make it as easy as possible on each other. So they were just backing each other up on everything and anything they wanted to do.
Oh my God.
So I like that part.
That's so good.
So they got to stop King Koopa's plan, which they are able to do pretty easily, and then restore the original king from the fungus he was turned into, because they introduced Daisy to her father, and he is this fungusy dripping thing. And he's been de-evolved that far back.
Oh.
Now, let's not think about what that would require. Because fungus does not turn into a dinosaur, does not turn into a mammal.
No, there's a lot of science errors happening here. There's a lot of missed out textbook reading.
I feel I'm glad for the people who watched this in the theater that I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because I would have stood up at some point. I said, that's not how this works. So they de-evolve him. After stopping the plan, they de-evolve him back into a human who looks just like Lance Henriksen.
Whoa. That
Amazing.
lucky dude.
Lance Henriksen is in this movie.
That is bonkers.
I just felt bad for him.
Aw.
But the thing is, he only showed up for about 40
you know.
seconds. And I was like, man, I hope you got some kind of payday off of this. Maybe he was just like, I'll do it so I can say I was in a movie with Dennis Hopper.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly. I've worked
And
with
Bob
the great
Hoskins.
Dennis Hopper before.
Right. So then after all that, they live happily ever after. Or not, because at the very end, the Princess Daisy comes back into their world to recruit them for a new adventure. And we get a freeze frame ending on her mischievous smile, you guys.
Oh, gotta love a freeze frame.
Lord.
So I'll tell you what. I had a fine time with this movie.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
It's awful. I mean, it's so bad. But I think where it really stumbles is it tried to put too many ideas from the game into this movie. And that game makes no fucking sense.
No,
Sure, yeah.
0%.
Why it is the game that is chosen for their movie, I don't know. I mean, why not Donkey Kong? That makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
Still got Mario, so
Yes,
you got him. So
exactly. So it's just like, wow, they jammed so many things from the game into this movie that there was just no possible way this movie could ever be good. I got some taglines and a bunch of trivia you're going to like.
Ooh.
The taglines: anything is possible. You just got to believe in it.
Yeah. All right, Tinkerbell.
Next. A bright, clamorous extravaganza! Exclamation point.
Sure. Accurate.
Here's one. Where the game ends, the movie begins. Wow.
Wait, but the game ends with him winning. Like, he jumps on him and he goes,
This
boo-doo-doo.
is absolutely not where the game ends.
No, not even a little.
I like this one. This ain't no game. It's a live-action thrill ride.
Very good. Very of the time.
And then this one. Can two plumbers save the world from going down the drain?
Oh, that seems the most accurate to the tone of this film.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so trivia. The concept of a parallel universe inhabited by dinosaurs was inspired by Dinosaur Land from the recently released Super Mario World. I'm going to guess recently was 1992-ish.
Yeah, Super
I never
Mario
played
World.
anything past Super Mario Brothers, and I only, if I'm being honest, played a little of that.
Yeah, it's never my thing.
But Donkey Kong took a lot of my quarters.
Sure.
So,
I was raised by a Nintendo, so
well, then you'll like this. The de-evolution guns seen at the end of the film are simply repainted versions of the Super Nintendo light gun accessory, the Super Scope.
oh my
Nice.
god, that is pretty good.
Duck hunting.
It is the cheapest looking thing in the movie too.
Sure.
It's like, you couldn't just build a cooler kind of version of this? No.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Oh my God.
Let's see. Various items from the video games appear, at least in name, throughout the film. These include Bombs, which is a deceptively tiny wind-up bomb in the film. Thwomps. Thwomp Stompers are oversized footwear. Kupahari Desert. Most of the world is this desert. Yoshi, a baby T-Rex. Goombas, transformed citizens. And Big Bertha, the woman who steals the pendant and that Mario dances with later on. And Bullet Bills, a cartridge with a face used to power the Thwomp Stomper boots.
Wow.
Mention of Fry Guy, a poster on the wall when the woman checks in. The plumber's tool belts. And on the projector screens in the Boom Boom bar, there is a graphic of Bowser's hideout from Super Mario World.
Wow.
Wow. They really went hard.
Turtles?
Yeah.
No turtles?
The set for Dino Hatton was built in an abandoned cement factory called the Ideal Cement Factory in the woods outside of Wilmington, North Carolina.
Wow.
Set designs were adapted to the existing structure of the building. This factory was also used as Shredder and the Foot Clan's hideout in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
And Top Dollar's nightclub in The Crow.
Oh.
Wow. That's a good cement factory.
Let's see. Dennis Hopper explained why he did the film. Quote, I made a picture called Super Mario Brothers, and my 6-year-old son at the time, he's now 18, he said, Dad, I think you're probably a pretty good actor, but why did you play that terrible guy King Koopa in Super Mario Brothers? And I said, well, Henry, I did that so you could have shoes. And he said, Dad, I don't need shoes that badly.
Oh my God. What an amazing story.
Smart kid.
In a 2011 interview with The Guardian, Bob Hoskins described the film's production. Quote, it was a fucking nightmare. The whole experience was a nightmare. It had a husband and wife team directing whose arrogance had been mistaken for talent. After so many weeks, their own agent told them to get off the set. Fucking nightmare. Fucking idiots.
Wow.
Tom Hanks was considered for the role of Luigi, but the failures of Turner and Hooch and Joe versus the Volcano led the studio to believe Hanks was no longer a box office draw.
Oh, no.
He got turned down for Super Mario Bros.
Oh, my.
Yeah, there's just a ton of stuff on this. I don't want to really get into much more about it. It's really bad. It was fine. It's super entertaining. The sets and everything from this kind of, what was this, 93? Yeah, this would double bill with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles very easily, or even something like The Fifth Element. I mean, it's nowhere near as cool looking as The Fifth Element, also starring Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
But it's got kind of this wackiness to it that in those city scenes that also had.
Multipass.
Yeah. And I mean, it's very, very bad. Although it was up for an Academy Award for effects.
Effects, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
You gotta love that.
I don't know. I could have chosen worse.
Nice.
I could have chosen Resident Evil.
Yeah, or Mortal Kombat 2.
Oh. Bum, 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 bum.
I just can't follow that.
I feel like we're going, well, anyway. What was your choice?
My choice was very different, I think. Maybe not. Anyways, 2018, Rampage.
I rescued George. He was 2 years old. He's not just a friend. He's family. Don't move a muscle.
Are you crazy? No! Don't move!
Okay. Very funny. You and I laughing at your joke. New guy, he no laugh. He cry. You can get up now.
And check your diaper. Come on. Let's go.
Got your message about George. You okay?
I don't know.
George? It's okay.
Is it me or is he considerably bigger?
No, he's definitely bigger. I need to find someone who knows exactly what the hell this thing is.
I found her. No, that's a lie. Technically, she found us.
What's happening to my friend?
Are you familiar with genetic editing? Changes will be incredibly unpredictable. Increased strength.
George!
Speed, agility.
No!
Try to sell some chains that can't run.
Where's George? I need to see him.
He is dangerous.
I think it's time for me to turn the middle around.
We're gonna die!
Probably!
We've created the next chapter in natural selection. Project Rampage works.
You got another one of your little science experiments running around.
What do you mean another one? Incoming!
Sound the alarm, it's time to cross the line.
Of course, the wolf flies.
Stop me. Oh, somebody stop me. Stop me. Please, somebody stop me. Oh, somebody stop me.
It's time we throw everything we can at these things and get people the hell out of that city.
Let's go save the world. That's a big arm. Don't fight it.
You know there are other ways of dealing with people, right?
I do know that, yeah, but that's no fun. George? You okay? Ready to do this, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
This one has one major thing going for it, which, we'll know very soon. Rotten Tomatoes. Now, this is a divergent group. The critics gave it 51.
Okay.
The crowd, 72.
Nice.
I'm with the crowd on this one.
Same.
I'm probably in between the two, but definitely closer to the crowd. This was a budget of 120 mil. U.S., it did 35 million. Worldwide, 428 million.
Wow.
Brad Payton, who directed San Andreas and Journey 2, Mysterious Island.
Wow, this is The Rock's go-to guy.
Yeah, they
San
worked together a
Andreas
few times.
is a great film.
They're
too,
both fun.
so.
All three of these films are, fun. And I'll get to the writers bit here because there's a bunch. Ryan Engel, screenplay writer for The Commuter and Cowboy Ninja Viking.
Oh, that was a comic book that Image put out for a while. I really liked it based on just its format. It was oversized.
Oh, okay. Did you see the movie?
I don't think it's a movie. I think he's a writer.
What he wrote. The second writer listed was Carlton Cuse, who wrote Bates Motel TV series, Briscoe County Jr., Lost, Lock and Key, and the new Jack Ryan movie or TV show. So I'd say of the group, he's probably got the best pedigree. Ryan J. Condell, who wrote Hercules, House of the Dragon, and upcoming remakes of Highlander and Logan's Run.
Interesting. Hercules, I'm guessing the Rock starting version?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Adam Sitzkill, who wrote Maid of Honor and Whiskey Cavalier, which is a fairly underrated thing, actually. Starring Dwayne Johnson.
Who?
That's what makes this movie work.
Yeah.
Strange Ian's radio favorite, The Rock.
Absolutely.
Explain to me why we haven't had a The Rock episode.
I was just thinking that.
We're just dumb. We must do this.
This has got to be added to the list of potentially.
I'd also toss out there, because when I first started watching, there was a brief period in my life where I was huge into the WWE, and a large portion of it was The Rock's coming out when he was with Nation of Domination, and doing all that stuff, that Attitude Era, I think it was called. He's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun. The man can work the mic. Also starring Naomi Harris, who was in 28 Days Later, Miami Vice, Street Kings, and Skyfall. So, she's been there before. Interestingly, at age 11, she was diagnosed with scoliosis and had to relearn how to walk.
Oh, my God. Whoa.
And Malin Ackerman, Malin Ackerman, from Watchmen, Final Girls, I forgot, she played the daughter in Watchmen of the
Silk Spectre?
Yeah. She played she played the younger.
Okay.
And born in Sweden, raised in Canada. Interesting combination. Jack Quaid.
Really?
Probably when you watched this, you had no idea who that was.
No, I didn't know he was in this at all.
He's the weird kind of geeky guy in the beginning. He doesn't get killed or anything but he's pretty much only in the beginning when they come in as a group to go see the ape. But you would know him from The Boys, where he plays Huey, Hunger Games, Screams 2022, Born to Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid. And also, I find this very interesting, he was the president of the Bad Movies Club at his high school.
That's cool.
I want to know what that was. And another Watchmen alum, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Oh, yeah. I
Plays
forgot
the
he was in this.
FBI kind of guy or
Right.
something. So he was in Walking Dead, Watchmen, Supernatural. Ostensibly a rock kind of guy, where generally he's one of the best people in whatever the hell he's in.
Mm-hmm.
So this starts with a disaster in space. Something's gone wrong on this experimental satellite thing. And the lady's trying to escape, and they say, "You don't leave without our research." So, of course, she gets the research and then promptly explodes and dies, and the research falls to Earth. What could that be? Will it have an effect on the movie? So then we go in, and that what I was just talking about with where Quaid was, where there's a group that comes in to see the gorillas in this habitat that's been built, where The Rock is working with this albino gorilla, and who speaks very good sign language. Communicate quite well. It's very sweet. They even kind of kid each other. The albino gorilla poses like a prank against them a little bit, and it's all very nice. It's very sweet, and I'll tell you, I am perfectly set up for the cheesy emotion I expect to come in this film. I bought in. The Rock is comments a rare sentiment, I think, in the world of people we all know, that he likes animals more than people. Never heard that before.
Right, I'm with you.
Yeah, no shit. So the spacecraft is now following all over the globe with big glowing canisters. And, George having a rough day because he found one of those canisters. And now he's growing larger and larger, and he's very scared of what is happening to him. So The Rock continues to try to look after him. Meanwhile, the evil research companies want those glowing canisters back, so they hire Joe Manganiello to come out and retrieve the canisters. So another stud man shows up in this movie and discovers the canisters, but they're empty. This is where you get to meet a very large wolf. A nice little what the heck's going on here happens if they explain the ideas behind it. So there's a lot of exposition in this movie, but it's actually handled really well, where they just spew it out and move on. But there's probably 6 or 7 of those scenes. He's like, okay. Well, John's team tries to capture this giant wolf. You can guess how that goes. So a whole lot of dead people. He's not in the movie very long, And now comes Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and we get the nice little reminiscent of the opening of Predator with the testosterone off between the two guys. Not quite as cool as that handshake at the beginning of Predator, right. But, it's still pretty good. The continues on with the back and forth between the business people trying to get the government to do what they want to do. And I'm just sitting here watching going, okay, this is fine. It's not bad, but let's see some animals busting some shit up. But the wolf is not a wolf. I'll tell you all the things it's made up here in the notes, but it's at least partially a porcupine and a flying squirrel.
Oh,
nice.
Why not?
Did it pour on all 3 animals when they're having a group hug?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll go with that.
All right. Just trying to figure out the science.
Porcupines and wolves often live in the same
area.
Great scene where The Rock describes killing poachers. However, there's a moment in that scene that is so shockingly brutal of the poachers killing one of the albino ape's mom. That's just like, wow. It's really fast, but it's really brutal. So I'm kind of like, you know what? Maybe The Rock should make a whole movie about him going after those guys. And of course, the military continues to not learn anything. If you're in a movie with The Rock and he tells you what to do, follow it. Otherwise, what happens? Whole lot of soldiers die. There's a lot of stuff in this film that we called out as being silly, but so what? If you are watching a movie of Rampage with a giant albino, The Rock, and a wolf porcupine, and you expect deep sincerity and honest intelligent moments, you might be watching the wrong movie. And of course, for some reason, the corporations created a beacon that, when set off, will call all the creatures to them for whatever reason. But of course, that's how they figure out how to get the animals into Chicago. So it works, of course. And then the soldiers now go, hey, well, now we can bomb it. Started off, I'm going, there's a moment where they're blowing shit up and attacking things. I'm going, man, I expected a lot more destruction, because it felt like it hit sort of an end point. It's not the end point. It's like, oh, there comes all the destruction. And it is a lot of fun to watch. It's not really the video game in any way. But it would have been kind of stupid to recreate, because I really liked Rampage. I played Rampage a lot.
Sure, me too.
But that would not translate well.
Well, also so strange that they decided to make this movie 30 years after the video game.
Yeah.
What was the what happens in the video game?
It's a flat scroller. So you've got 2D scroller, and you're a big gorilla, or I was always the gorilla, so I don't remember what the other ones were.
It was the same thing, lizard, and then...
Well, there's an alligator in here.
Well, that's the alligator, but it was kind of like a Godzilla creature, and then a wolf.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And you basically climb up buildings, and you punch the buildings to grab people and eat them.
Okay.
Or if you punch the wrong place, you shock yourself. The biggest difference between the game and the movie is that you're a person. You get affected somehow, and then you grow into the monsters.
Oh, yeah.
And if you get electrocuted or whatever enough, you shrink back down to a person, and you walk around holding your genitals as you walk around naked out of the screen.
Oh my gosh.
It's a very fun game. It's nothing smart or anything like that, but it's enjoyable because the graphics are just good enough to be funny, and so it's well worth checking out, but it's not this movie at all.
Sure.
And like I said, the emotional things come. It's not really heavy. This is definitely a family-oriented movie, but if you watch the trailers and go, I think I'll have fun with this, you will. If you watch the trailers and go, hope maybe it'll be something deeper, it's not. But who cares? Jeffrey Dean or Morgan and The Rock, and it's just a lot of fun. Brilliant tagline. Big meets bigger.
Cool.
Boy.
That was the only one listed. So.
That must have been Friday afternoon. They were like, we need a tagline, Bob. And he's like, how about this? Good enough. Let's go.
Well,
he's like, my daughter's got a soccer game I got to get to.
Right, yeah.
So
that's the surprising to that, though, is the budget, like I said, was $120 million. I came across something I haven't seen very often with these big budget movies. The marketing budget, $140 million.
Oh my God.
So,
whoa.
Yeah, I guarantee you, when we're seeing those Marvel movies with a budget of $400 million, we're seeing $400 million spent on marketing also.
Yeah, just
sure.
massive.
Wow.
But it was nominated for 3 Teen Choice Awards. The category of Best Sci-Fi Movie, acting by The Rock, and acting by Naomi Harris.
Love it.
Who's pretty good in the movie, too.
Sure.
Yeah, she does.
The way you said that, I totally thought that there was a category just for The Rock, where it's like your best role this year.
I could see that happening. This is the 3rd collaboration between Peyton and Johnson, the director. I mentioned the other 2 before. It also marked the final release of Warner Brothers working with Access Entertainment and Rat Pack Noon Entertainment, because the studio ended their partnership with Brett Ratner's company.
Of course. Ratner did Hercules.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And his fall was so egregious that they actually removed the credit of the company from the movie.
Wow.
Damn.
And so that was dissolved, no longer exists. George was originally intended to be a regular gorilla, but then they realized 2 things. 1, he just looks like King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, if he's white, if he's albino, you can see the injuries happening to him.
Oh.
So you get a little bit more sympathy for the character, which works. It's kind of like,
pretty smart.
Poor monkey.
Right.
Let's see. Ralph The wolf has, here's all the animals he's made up of: bat ears, porcupine quill, and flying squirrel membranes. Lizzie, the crocodile, has boar tusks, fish gills, and gecko toes, as well as a pangolin-like armor and a spiked tail club.
That's a lot, guys.
Yep, and George is just an albino monkey.
They could have just been like big crocodile, big wolf.
Well, the reason they were able to do it is the only motion capture character was George. So the other ones, they just decided, let's have fun, do whatever we want. They acquired the adaptation for this film in 1986.
Wow.
Or the 1986 video game was purchased in 2009 as just a big purchase of all Midway games.
Oh, interesting.
Sure.
So they did not specifically go after Rampage. It was announced in 2011 because he wanted to work on the movie because he liked playing it as a kid. So that's why the producer started to produce Rampage.
Nice.
And The Rock came on board for the same reason. He liked playing the arcade game back in his pool hall and later owned it on Nintendo.
Nice.
The visual effects were provided by Weta Digital, who actually traveled to Chicago to model all the Chicago buildings in the loop that gets destroyed in the movie. Like 15,000 photographs were taken with the 3D scanners, and motion cameras covered everything in downtown Chicago.
Wow.
Let's see, what else happened? I mentioned that one already. Yui Boll, everybody's least favorite bad director, bad movie director, threatened to sue because he had a movie in 2009 called Rampage, which is about sort of more like, I think it's more like just a guy who goes on a rampage.
Yeah, it's the guy that he built a tank and was trying to take on City Hall or something.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. That one. I remember that. I didn't know that was the movie, but I remember what you're talking about. And he was upset that it would shrink his brand and the revenue he could use for future installments of the Rampage franchise. Near as I could tell, he never actually followed through on the lawsuit.
Yeah, that's not one he was going to win.
Also, you should hope people think that this Rampage is the one you directed.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or accidentally buy your film thinking it is the monkey movie with The Rock.
Eric, I think you should box him.
There we go.
You heard it live on air, guys.
Oh my. Moving on.
The challenge has been made.
Alexandria Daddario, as you said, had a small role as a scuba diver that was supposed to run into a giant squid. But sounds like it was filmed, but was not put into the movie.
That's too bad.
Yeah, that would have been weird. I like how the description I read was a small role of a female scuba diver. I'm like, I'm well aware.
Listen, nobody's going to mistake her for anything other than the most beautiful female on the planet.
And on the male side of that, Jeffrey Dean Morgan used a nickel-plated, what was it, an M1911A1 Colt with ivory handles, which is the same one that he uses in Supernatural.
Oh, sure.
Funny.
The Rock wants to make a trilogy out of this, but at this point, nothing has come from it. I would say, yeah.
He wants to make a trilogy out of Rampage.
Not just a sequel. He wants a trilogy.
Wow.
Wow. He deeply enjoyed making this movie, I guess.
It sure looked like it. He's a lot of fun. He's full on Rock in this movie. I mean, it's ridiculous at points where the final battle scene between George and the wolf and the Rock running around on the ground underneath them. It's like they pull it off. It's a lot of fun to watch, but in some of the shots, it just looks ridiculous. It's like, dude, you go get squished.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. Hollywood completely understands what they have in The Rock.
Yeah.
In that they just put him in the stupidest movie in the world, and there is a certain section of society that will go see it, including apparently all three of us.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah,
I've seen some terrible The Rock films, and I
there's a
will
lot.
see many more.
Yep, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, and I've seen some terrible ones that I was like, oh, that's not so bad.
He's got The Rock.
All the parts he was in was fine.
So it's a fun film. It's exactly what you expect. So if you have passed on it but think it might be fun, go watch it because it is fun.
Good choice. I might have to watch it again.
I do love that we each chose a video game movie kind of almost, from a different platform and going in reverse order. So mine was probably for PlayStation, I think, and yours would have been for Nintendo, and yours was an arcade game.
It's an arcade, yeah. It's full stand-up.
It's pretty cool.
Weird.
Okay. All right. I think that means it's my choice for the next film.
Yes, it is.
I have an idea, guys. We have done a ton of stuff, and I've always poo-pooed anytime Eric or Vanessa has tried to pick a big budget film that I feel like everybody has seen.
That's so true.
But now I want us all to pick a big budget horror film for the next episode.
Yes, the training wheels have come off.
Oh my.
There's so many movies I've been trying to watch.
It's training wheels. That's right. We are now ready and mature enough as filmmakers and film watchers to watch big budget movies.
Which means, let's see, if the training wheels have come off, we're what, about 6 or 7 years old? This all feels about right to me. Okay, so that's what we're doing next time. Let me think. Is anything off limits?
I would
it
imagine
has to be big budget, not just blockbuster. Because Jaws, not a big budget film.
True.
A blockbuster film, but not a big budget film. So
Yeah.
it's got to be one that Hollywood thought they were going to really get behind.
Love it. That's awesome.
Okay, so here's where I say thank you to everyone who's liking and sharing posts.
Yes, you're all awesome.
Donating money. In fact, Micah donated some money recently. And Micah, not next episode, since that's mine, but the episode after that, I think we're going to do the subgenre that he wanted.
I will sacrifice my gladly because, I look forward to this subject that he wants us to do quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, that should be fun. And then, of course, thanks to everybody else who's always out there, Ryan and Bob and Ron and Carlos. Danny, of course, is behind the scenes doing a ton of shit right now. So
Yes,
you're all going to be thrilled with that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. We shall convene in 1 week, and we'll be talking big budget horror.
Awesome.
I'll see you guys then, and I'll see you in hell.
Wait, what? Why? What'd I do?
Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio, produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
Yes, the training wheels have come off.